Assalamu alaikum. In this video, I want to go over how God is presented as a religious Jew in rabbinic literature. And of course, I would argue this is theologically problematic. So the first example is in the Babylonian Talmud, where Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav that there are 12 hours in the day. During the first three, the Holy One, blessed be He, sits and engages in Torah. So God is engaging in Torah. He's reading the Torah, he's studying it, etc. Second example we see where God is presented as a rabbi is in the Babylonian Talmud. It shows how God debates the law with the angels. So the heavenly debate concerned a case of uncertainty as to which came first, the spot or the hair. So there's a heavenly debate going on in heaven. The Holy One, blessed be He, says the individual is pure, but every other member of the heavenly academy says he is impure. So there's this debate going on where if we're not certain, right, if the spot or the hair came first, I think that's what it's talking about. If we're not certain, then what's the ruling? God says that the person is pure, but all the other members, the angels, say he's impure. They said, who can arbitrate in this dispute? They agreed that Rabbah bar Nahmani should arbitrate. As Rabbah bar Nahmani once said, I am preeminent in the halakot of leprosy, and I am preeminent in the halakot of ritual impurity imparted by tents. So now God and the angels disagree, and so they say that this other rabbi, he's going to decide who's correct, God or the angels. Now, Rabbah bar Nahmani, he says that the person is pure, so he agrees with God's opinion. But interestingly, when we look at the official codified law of Judaism, the opinion of the angels is correct. We see this in the Mishnah, which says, if it is doubtful, he's unclean, which was the opinion of the angels, and also Mishneh Torah, which is Maimonides' work, his attempt to codify Jewish law. He says, when there is a doubt whether the white hair came first or the Baharet came first, the person is deemed impure. It appears to mean that this impurity is of a questionable nature. So it seems that according to the official law in Judaism, God's opinion was wrong and the angels were right. But anyway, notice how this heavenly debate is going on about what the law is. That is very similar to what the rabbis do, right? If you read the Talmud, etc., the rabbis are debating over and over again, what is the law? What is the law? And they're trying to figure out what the law is. And this person comes with this position, and that person comes with that position. Then they have arguments. So God and the angel are presented as having debates in heaven to decide the law, just like rabbis on earth have debates to decide the law. The third example here is that God wears tefillin, according to the Babylonian Talmud, where Rabbi Avin bar Rav Ada said, Rabbi Yitzhak said, so this is their opinion, from where is it derived that the Holy One, blessed be He, wears phylacteries? As it is stated, the Lord has sworn by His right hand and by the arm of His strength. Now, the verse in Isaiah is not talking about wearing tefillin, but they're doing a midrashic interpretation, a homiletic interpretation. Now, what are phylacteries or tefillin? You see these black cubes that look like the Kaaba? That's what they are. So they're saying that God wears these on his right hand. And I think they also say he wears them on his forehead, but I'm not sure. Certainly, they say that he wears them on his right hand. Right? So it says, since it is customary to swear upon holy objects, it is understood that his right hand and the arm of his strength are the holy objects upon which God swore. So God wears these tefillin. Okay. Example 4, which shows us that the rabbinic literature presents God as a religious Jew, is here in the Babylonian Talmud, where it talks about an incident where God wore a prayer shawl. Yohanan said, were it not explicitly written in the verse, it would be impossible to say this. The verse teaches that the Holy One, blessed be He, wrapped himself in a prayer shawl like a prayer leader and showed Moses the structure of the order of prayer. So this is a prayer shawl, right? So now you see in this incident, God is wearing this prayer shawl. He's acting like a member of the congregation, right? Leading the prayer, a leader of the prayer. So God is wrapping himself in a prayer shawl like the leader of the congregational prayer, and showing Moses how to pray. He wears these tefillin as well, right? These black cubes and whatnot. Okay. This is a tradition in the Jerusalem Talmud, and there are other traditions to this effect as well. Here we see that God, according to the Jerusalem Talmud, keeps the Torah. He actually keeps the commandments. So it says, usually in the world, a king of flesh and blood decides a decision. If he desires it, he keeps it. If he desires it, others keep it. The Holy One prays to him is not so. But if he decides a decision, he keeps it first. What is the reason they have to keep my watch I am the eternal. I am he who keeps the commandments of the Torah first. So they're saying that God is bound by the law of the Torah. He actually keeps the commandments of the Torah. Okay. Now, this is a midrash. It says that God studies this book called Red Heifer, and this is a book written by a rabbi called Rabbi Eliezer. So God reads this book and he cites it. So at that time, when Moses ascended to the heavenly heights, he heard the voice of the Holy One, blessed be He, who was sitting and studying the Torah portion of the Red Heifer and uttering a halakha, a law, in the name of the one who spoke it. Rabbi Eliezer said, "A calf is 1 year old and a cow is 2 years old." So God is here reading this rabbi's book and he's quoting it. He's quoting it in his name. Okay. This actually seems to indicate that God is in exile. So this is the seventh example. A divine voice, meaning God's voice, was calling out, saying, "The mother of the children is joyful." The divine spirit was crying out and saying, "For these I weep, for the comforter to restore my soul is removed from me." It seems like God is in exile as well. He's looking for a comforter to restore his soul. Now, this is a midrash, midrash rabbah on Numbers, and it shows us that according to this midrash, God learns from Moses. Okay, as we see here, it's on page 782 and 83, and X1X. I think that's 19. 1933 would be the reference, but you can just look up what X1X means in Numbers. That's, of course, the Roman numerals. Anyway, text says, so another explanation of this text, so they're giving different homiletic interpretations. This is one of the three things said by Moses to the Holy One, blessed be He, to which the latter replied, "You have taught me something." He said to him, "Sovereign of the universe, how can Israel realize what they have done? Were they not reared up in Egypt, on and on?" And I think one of the things they say here is that God said that basically the sin should, like God, He's going to punish the children and their children for the sins of the father. And Moses said, "No, don't do this." And God accepted Moses was correct. As it says here, the second occasion was when the Holy One, blessed be He, said to him, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, Moses said to him, "Sovereign of the universe, many are the wicked who have begotten righteous men. Shall the latter bear some of the iniquities of the fathers? Terah worshipped images, yet Abraham, his son, was a righteous man," etc., etc. "Is this proper that righteous should be punished for the iniquity of their fathers?" The Holy One, blessed be He, said to him, "You have taught me something. By your life I shall cancel my words and confirm yours, as it says, the father shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the father." So there is a contradiction in the Torah about if the children and their children are punished for the sins of their father, and this midrash is attempting to explain why this contradiction exists, and of course they do blasphemy while doing that. Now here's a midrash, and I have another video on this called the rabbinic literature suggests that Adam resembles God, but anyway, this is just an example of one of those. I think I presented three such texts which indicate that. Here we see in a midrash that it seems like Adam and God looked like identical, and the angels couldn't tell who was who. So that's why God made Adam sleep. So Rabbi Hushaya said, "When the Holy One, blessed be He, created Adam, the first man, the ministering angels erred concerning him and sought to proclaim holy before him." This is analogous to a king and a governor who were in a chariot, and the residents of the province wanted to salute the king by proclaiming "Domain," but they did not know which one he was. So they didn't know who was the governor and who was the king. Okay, what did the king do? He pushed him, the governor, out of the chariot, and then they all knew that he was the governor. So when the Holy One, blessed be He, created Adam, the first man, the ministering angels erred concerning him and sought to proclaim holy before him. So they couldn't tell who was Adam, who was God, and so they tried to worship Adam, it seems. What did the Holy One, blessed be He, do? He cast a deep slumber upon him, and everyone then knew that he was merely a man. That is what is written, "Just as for man who has breath in his nostrils, for in what way is he worthy?" Okay. So it seems like the rabbinic Jews fell into tashbih, making Allah similar to the human being or other creation. Allah says, فاطر السماوات والأرض جعل لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا ومن الأنعام أزواجا يذرأكم فيه ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. The originator of the heavens and the earth is giving you spouses of your own kind and pairs of livestock by which he causes you to multiply. There's nothing like him, and he is the all-hearing, the all-seeing. So the correct position of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, is that we affirm the attributes that Allah affirmed for himself. So Allah affirmed that he's hearing, we affirm he's hearing. Allah affirmed that he's seeing, so we affirm he's seeing. But at the same time, we say, Laysa kamithlihi shay, there's nothing like him. So Allah's hearing is not like the human's hearing. Allah's seeing is not like the humans seeing. But it seems in the Talmud they've presented God as being like a religious Jew, just a religious Jew in heaven. And that's the video.